Right, everyone. It's amazing how it jumped from one lines to six in set location to 11, right? Everything's a pattern sequence line calculation setting. So exactly what time is it? Because I guarantee you it's not 10:48. I guarantee you it's not in position locations at quarter two. I guarantee it's not set location lines at high center interference at 10:47. I guarantee you it's not position locations, all calculations, and high track lines and high interference at 10:43. You can't tell time in set location line setting. This is outer space now. Okay. The inner line communications of the inner line rotation centers is really understanding how to direct your system to locations of telling your own time. Okay. There's no time of anything. So in that side line in a high center is timeless and shapeless and formless. But that's you inside location. You have to start recognizing their set position to its operation. Because there's a lot of confusion of separation if you don't understand that everything you have outside of you is outer space, a connection. Imagine that. So, Jenna, are you saying that all my phones and all my connection on my computers, my digital pads, everything like connection outside is in outer space? Yeah. It's in its own parallel. It's locked in its own setting in position attraction. Now, in calculation system, you have to learn how to really get into telepathy signatures of waves. Really understand how to use your set locations, the alpha, delta, thetas, and betas, and omegas, communication setting track lines. You can only use beta on a 12 cycle. You can't use beta on a 24 line. Okay. Beta is a representation location to a setting. It's an outline calculations, right? So you can't get rid of it. You can't put it aside, but it's always there for you. See, the thing is, you have to truly understand how it all interlines as communication setting attractions. It's about you balancing the inner line communication you first. Inner space, outer space. Inner linking, outer linking. Inner volume, outer volume. Okay? Inner calculation, outer calculations. So you have to control yourself inside first, which is the house setting location of its operation. And then you understand that the outer space is set location that you have to come to you. That phone has to come to you through telepathy. Your computer has to come to you through telepathy. Anything that you're in system of a set location is coming into a new waving line cycle. Now we start up our position locations into three waves, right? Of volunteers. We got out of 3, we got out of 6, we got out of 9, we got out of 12. 12 line center line connection high centers, the 2 positive line position track lines, setting track line interference and negative line rotation interference. 13 set location. Higher self. We're down to 13 waveline cycle. Split in anomalies line connections of all different parallels of different position location travel lines into core reactor line connections to screen lines. This is the energy core and position of data lines. Now, it has a unit system and set location line centers, sectors, vectors, and quads. Remember, I said location line and position location, your core and your communication, your generators of your earth perception line calculation, your minds and calculation, your consciousness is going to go into set location to its own setting and position its own universe location of its realm, directing lines of panels in its own space of time into another conversion. Well, the telepathy signatures, the earth perception lines, your mind and consciousness is coming back in traction, right? Now that's the outer space, not the inner space. Okay. To understand your earth is to understand you completely. The earth perception line screen has to understand you through a telepathy wave. Now, the 13 wave is the birthing calculations when it comes into the higher self. Higher self has a track location, right? Has a low frequency, medium, and a high. Split 3 anomalies. 1, 2, 3. 3 planets, 3 dimensions of space and time, right? So everybody's going to be at their frequency in position to location of their telepathy signatures and how to use it through their set location. Okay, so that's in position attractions. Now, understanding how to use that is understanding that your earth core is coming into a liquid formation location setting. Setting position locations to all calculation system is understanding your self lines. Now, the self line communication is self continuum force line connection to stream settings. Now, this direct location system, your panels. It's very complicated if you don't understand yourself inside location. Okay, you are the inner line communication. So where's all the clocking? Where's all the time? Where's all the mapping? Where's all the operation? Inside you. To tell time is not outside, it's inside you. Okay, so looking at my connections of my timeline, 1051 and 59% is not the time. 1051 is not the time. Okay, because it's coming from outer space. But the inner line calculation is exactly what it is. It's the chakra system of 10 over pi, which is 5-1. 5 generation streams, heart reactor, 1 line division, 1051. That's the connection setting. So when I look at the clock, it's looking from inside me. It's telling the time, which becomes timeless, shapeless, and formless. So it sets lines, it exists all at once in all timelines. So every time I look at 1052, I know exactly what time it is inside location, not outside connections. You can't tell the time from outside. It's got to be inside location. So your clocking is inside you, not outside. Okay. So understanding how to use the energy and how to use the vibration and how to use the frequencies and how to use the harmonics gets you indirect signal. You've got to communicate with your phones from outer space to bring it into the inner line calculation setting attractions. You've got to build relationships and partnerships with yourself first. Okay? Then you build a relationship and a partnership with the outer space of your phone. And your phone will come to you, understand how to communicate with it through telepathy. This is an open window, open panel, open pattern, open traction, open division, open stargate, open star map, open star clockings. Okay? But everything is from inside, not outside. So if you understand that traction, you have a better waving line cycle how to communicate with your system through telepathy. The technology is already set position line connectized centers. So everybody's mind consciousness now is in a 3-wave cycle. Okay. And the 4th communication lines is the soul planes. Now, this is where we come in direct panels where everybody's going to be in their position of mind and consciousness. The intercommunication setting to your core is in a plasma setting now. Low frequency, medium frequency, high frequency. Okay. Now you can refer that and position location lines of Jacob's ladder inside location, climbing that ladder. I've gone through my karma cycles, communication line interference. I'm ready to go to position locational plasma light generation line connects and I position with operations now. Waiting on signal position track lines. So in calculations, all your Earth perception is teleporting to energize, energizing each planet's surface to a different parallel dimension of space and time. Okay, so that's the 13th wave. Now, once you get into the 24th wave communications, you've got full calculation lines of telepathy to the core generation line calculation of the Earth. Perceptions over pi, center communication of power generation line screens and everything, location in your clouds and how to use it in position of track lines in your magnetic highway information system. You all have to learn how to use it through traction, guys. Okay? So you don't tell time by looking outside. You tell time from looking from inside of you. Okay? That's the connection to pi. All right? All right. So in track location, we get into higher line settings. Now the team is into all set location. They come into 1044. All right. The platitude line interference takes them out of 13 right away. They're in position locations into 144 now. Replaced in the 9 line centers in track locations. All right. Generation screens and 24 line signals in set location. 12 line center line connects to the outer lines of space. Track location is space and time. Okay. Split in and all line and center line communication of center. Track locations of pi generation screen line connections. So this is where it comes to 12 outline settings and traction outside position of its operation. Okay. Now comes into the diamond core set location of travel connections. Now in that direct signal line of position comes into the center communications in all setting, right? So we got a signals communication of pattern 144. Okay. Sets position of 1044 now. In center locations, right? So that travels out in a 3-set cycle. Okay. So in position of 24 comes into 48, set position of 72 in set locations. Right? So the trajectory's communication line setting is all levels of division now. The center communication to all levels of operation line calculation, the team is now in a phase direction time sequence into 144 phase direction of times of space in set location to the fractals. Setting communication setting in all calculation system. Okay. Now, in track location line setting, so they get 1,044 track locations, 2 panels communication to operation line surface. Okay. Track location and height setting and position due to the pyramids and set location. Okay. So it's randomly understand the calculation setting and flux past position of travels, 3 weather line rotation centers attraction, Fibonacci line swirls and set location system, mountain surface and at 3 set location line setting height traction, directing communications in its sun line and open signal and position of panels and hieroglyphic location of channel communication. Directing line signals is all calculated and modified. So get in that line calculation at 3 waving line cycles and height generation, see calculation streamlines, high calculation settings and set location. Traversation times comes into 2 platforms, directing lines of panel communication, right? Open all signals in position of all 3 points in the 4-point location center. So we use the communication to higher self and position the avatar and position of the sim. See, that's how we use set locations, right? So understanding the weather patterns and correlations of Fibonacci line swirl, where they take the sim into the center communication. Center crosses line, calculation lines of pi and direct signal locations. Center communication lines on 1044, track communication setting, open all levels, high calculations to a system location. Directing communication line settings is 0 operation lines, 3 mountain surface. Sun codes, calculation high interference, moon line set location of pi, generation screen location system, and all track locations. Set position. Okay? Now, that's done. Getting into time looping is all about the infinity 8-line screen. Okay? Sets position at 3 track locations, a center, directing line calculations of 4 into 5 into 6 locations, right? 6 in generation setting, and 9 in location system location. Okay, comes into yin and yang, a process calculation. Okay, directing calculations of 8 in center, 2 8-line centers of center position, and 2 8 lanes of magnetic highway information lines of screen location center operation. Directing communication line settings, you can actually see the intelligence information. See the intelligence? Boom. Right? Face recognition. So swivels and communication comes in org channels. Directing calculation line settings opens all calculation high center interference and position of traction. Okay, done by equation. So there's so many different ways to do formulas equation line screens, guys. Now we come to 13 channels. Let's direct the save locations of panels equals lines calculation, triangulation, reset position program settings. Directing communications into male, positions of female. So the female line calculations to the male, male travels calculations of male and female, and positions of the male and female travels female, male. Travel calculations high position of program settings and position of going forward and backwards as application travel settings. Directing communication lines at 3 weather patterns and direct location of Fibonacci line swirls. Directing line calculation setting in position location to a system. Triangulation reset position of point system, travel record of time sequence, and 3 set location. Now coming in line centers. We come into all calculation system at clock line center and travel. Now the travel communication line sets 13 line screens, directs calculations of 24 line signals, and position locations in 144, sets position locations on 144, track location system, northwest, south, and east, travel calculations, 1044 in center, travel calculation line interference. Now the direct location system puts everything in position of 24 line cycles, 24 line division, 24 lines vectors, and 24 lines of quads. Center communication setting changes all communication system in position line calculation setting and all levels of operation. Done by equation. Okay. Fast recognition of time sequence is all about understanding how to use patterns. Patterns like the telepathy signature line communication settings. So we got 3 track locations, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Split lines of 2 anomalies. Okay. 3 within center, 4 within activation. Right. Soul planes right there. Boom. Triangulation reset position programs. Okay. Now sets location of Jupiter, sets location of Mercury, sets locations into Pluto, and sets locations into Neptune. 4 track locations, right? Directing calculation line interference, 1, 2, 3, 4 set location. Okay. Now in track locations, we come into the Merkaba, the tetrarch, and the tetrahedron line screens and set location of its operation surface and set position operation. Directing communication line settings comes to all calculations. All right. So we service calculation setting across line signers and wires and communication of travel. Directing communication line setting, high line centers, high position to all levels. Rounds of communication setting in all track locations. In position of center communication. So we slide up in one line signature. Travel calculations at 3 lines of 4 lines of traction. But position of 5, 6, 7, 8 in line setting. In position line calculation setting in 9, 10, 11, 12 in set locations. Sets position of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 set locations in travel connections. All right, so center communication comes into a metric screen. So the I-line center comes into theta box line as interference, sets position travel lines into star maps as set location. Travel lines of box centers, travel communications, opens all signals, and in 2 panels line position at all levels as set location. Travel extent time sequence opens all levels and magnetic high information center as center communication. Okay, that my equation. All right, so the metric meters and the scale lines is now in balance. The balanced position of track communication setting opens all levels of high center interference. So 13 waveline cycles, sets position of 3, in position of 6, in position of 9. Okay, we start with locations, right? You start with this and set location, right? 13 equals lines of 24, 24 equals lines of 144, and 144 slides across line screen into all set location. 144 equals line calculations and 1044 track location. Okay, now that puts position line calculation setting to its cloud erection time sequence in all lines of a magnetic high wave formation center of calculation. Directing calculation line crosses line settings high center interference into its colossal. Colossal communication line scripts lines in the calculation streamline. Erection time lines in position and moon, surface location of realms, and set location line settings and track to its communication setting to operation. Directing communication lines to its location grid in set position operation. Center calculation lines crosses line screens in 3 set location at travel settings. Okay, directing communication all levels crosses line screens. Now the magnetic high wave information of center opens all channels of communication. Look how powerful it is. Wow. Done my equation. All right. So 3, 6, and 9 lines of 12 and 13 is now in waving line cycles. The 3 planetary lines center the interference and application system. So we go into low, vibe, volume, vast, and velocity. Okay, sets position like conditions high centers. 5 elements equals lines covered in high interference of ozone communication. All right, directing calculation line settings. Okay, then we come into the mediation line graph line screens. Okay, into and measure. 2 panels communication, 2 operation line calculation setting in Pluto and line direction and time sequence and travel direction of time lines and high center interference as set location. Okay, so we go into the meeting line cycle, center lines of operation, center communications of pi in generation line screens, splits the nodes in 2 track locations. So we go into 3-point system to molecules, metric meters, scales, lines, calculations, high interference, and triangulation and reset position of programs in set location. Direct communication line screens sets position of platforms in set position to its operation. Okay, so in track locations, we come back in line centers. In line rotations. Now you go into 2,400, sets position location equal lines to 2,000, calculation high interference of 3 track locations into 800, and we go into 3,000 line screens. Now 3,000 line screen is the sun position of its router calculation line stream and set location of its operation. Okay, done by equation. So we got the low and we got the medium, and we come into the high center streamlines, high direct locations into H. 2 panels of communications into 3 operation centers and track location. Direct communication of 4 generation line screens, 4 lines of high interference splits the anomalies at 3 sets. So flux pass communications of 4 equals lines of 3, 7 line communications, 7 lines of 2, sets line calculations high center interference, 12 line division locations, 13 waveline centers, track location. Done by equation. All right. Planetary surface, center communications, operational line centers, high calculation. 3 planet lines that energize communication centers. Teleport straight location centers of 4/3, line conditions of 7 traction. Tractors communication opens all levels, operational line system, and 2 platforms of communication of center of position. Okay. Directing lines of 1-dimensional line, 2 track locations of pi, and direct signal is a location. Okay. So we modify the signals in 3 set location of travel settings in the opposite direction. point system of the sun comes into the moon, line position its track lines in its operation surface as allocations. Done by equation. Okay. So we have to really understand how to get into energized calculation streamlines. 3-planet surface, okay, in position of 4 track locations, okay. Sets position of the sun and the moon in track location line settings. Opens all signals in high position of travel and communication center of operation. Now, directing line panels comes into all calculations. You work with the 2 8-line screens, okay, 2,800 line centers in track locations, 4,000 line calculation setting, in position of 12 light years away. Now, light years comes in at 24, 24 to 48, 48 to 72, 144. 140 equals lines of calculation high interference, 24 balanced communications on north, south, and east. That's track line division locations into 5 elements of space in track line calculation setting into 13 graphing calculation strain lines, a mapping sequence location system, and all levels of track location in month setting. Done by equation. Okay. Center communication line centers sets lines of communication or crop circle into 24 lines of balance as allocation of travel settings. So in position to its operation line set locations, we take the magnetic highway information cloud, center its communication system. The 2 lines at 2,000 line stream location of 4,000 lines in measure correlates the high position of time lines, 3 box location centers and track locations. All right. So we go into low graphs, medium graphs, and position locations of high graph location. Done by equation. All right. Very complicated stuff, but it's a lot of fun, guys. So the formulas equation line screen is really understand how to surface your track location. Is it a coincidence that we're in 13 of viewers and 3 in center? No, that's exactly what we're working with. See, I work with the calculations. Everything that I see is that location line centers. 13 line connections, 1 anomaly line interference is 12 now. 13 equals 12, right? 12 equals lines of 3. That's where it is in traction. So clocking is inside you. Always inside. Your mapping's inside. Everything equation is inside. Your travel's inside. Your tracker, everything's inside. The only thing you have to balance out is what's outside. That's the outer space of you. That's the position of separation that you have to bring to you through telepathy wave. This is about understanding how to communicate with your clocking from inside. When I look at 2240 in minutes in line side location of seconds, and seconds, minutes, and hours, it's all track location to its mapping sequence. Okay? The outline communication does not tell time through clocking. You clock the system inside connections through its location of its grid settings in 3 track location centers of operation, all through a molecule set location of 4 settings. So now you understand the importance. Okay, how you box the 13, you box the 12, and you box the 3. There's the 3 triangulation set location, right? So you're protecting the screen lines in position of space and position location of time. Okay, on a 4 central line communication of 1, 2, 3, 4 waves and center communication to an energetic line communication setting in a liquid formation line setting high track location high center in position to its location system of center operation. Done by equation. Okay. So now you understand why it's so important to build a relationship with yourself first. To understand how to use your system in all setting line connections. And then you balance out the outer lines, the outer links, the outer rims, the outer clocking comes into the inner clocking. Okay. So there's nothing outside of anything in its location. Everything is inside location, a mapping sequence. So the actual clock is a map. It's not telling time, is it? So when you get into that position location, you really understand how to use your higher self through its mapping sequence to get to its location through its clocking from inside connection. Okay. But a clock and a watch does not tell time. It teleports time. Okay. So if you understand that, it's setting back in time, forward in time, forward in time, back in time, forward in time, back in time. Okay, that's what a watch and that's what a clock does. Okay, So telling time is the existence of its time, of no time, which is everything of time in center position of operation. Okay. 3 center calculation centers in all track location. Your existence is in 3 set location of travel settings. The now that never leaves the system of you in calculation. You understand? That's how you tell time. Okay? Inside of you. Then you understand time is timeless, all timelines all at once. And how you go through Fibonacci clocking or anything that's set location of travel. Okay? Through a 45-degree angle and 4 set location. Okay? All right. I think we're understanding the importance here, how all this works in all line position your system locations. Okay? So we're at 26 in position lines of 2 equal line communications. So that's equal, right? So this comes into this. This comes into that. This and this is a 4-track location, right? So setting calculation line interference of 24, sets position of 24, sets position of 24, sets position of 24 in set locations, right? Now, understanding that line calculation setting is 1,044 track locations at a 45-degree angle, okay? Very complicated stuff because you're in a triangulation reset position of operation. All calculated and modified through a holographic screen location center. Files of communication lines, 2 over track, 6 over division, and 3 communication setting into the sun and moon at track location. Okay? So you really understand how to use the holographic system of you through all calculations of your founders, your builders, and your pioneers. Okay? It's all connected inside position. So you're 1,944. Track calculation sign interference. Trapezoid line calculation setting into 2 panels of communication. Creates a solar screen in position to a galaxy line setting and all travel of communication. Very powerful stuff. Okay. So understand you through the founders, understand you through the builders, and understand you through pioneers. Okay. This is your clocking system. The foundations, the builders, and the pioneers of you. Okay? Mega multi-pass. All right, that's done. All right, so this is more time sequence line calculation string location into the existence. So the existence communication is one line center. So general, is it possible for me to actually communicate with this through time? Yes. How do I do that? Well, let's cross the signal locations of pi. Okay. Point system direction settings 24, 48, 72, and 144 is already in set location. Platitude divisions, platitude divisions, platitude divisions. Okay. Center calculation line settings and travel communication. Okay. Center communication line settings, all levels of right and left line communication. Center communication open all cycles and clocking lines of timeline sequence, all in the existence of the now set location. Okay. So once you understand that, then you understand the point locations and what it is through division. Okay. Understand the platforms, understanding how to travel through the platforms of communications. Out of the equation to its pi in set position of its dimensional lines of space. Creating platforms, dimensions, core sectors, vectors, quads, calculations, star command centers, track locations, higher levels of division lines, models of communications into all calculations. Direction of time sequence, scans lines, streamlines, opens all communicational platforms in center position of its operation. Okay? So we all understand how this all works in all line settings. Everything is built inside of you. Okay? What is set location line setting? What is actually the how? What is how? I'll give you guys a hint. It has a set location of center operation location near reactors. What is how? What does how mean? What does how equal? What does how equal? What does how equal? How everything operates. What does it equal? 5 balance lines of grounds, powers, and the atmospheres. 5 track locations. What is it? What does it equal? Right? What is H? Okay. How equals the heart. Okay. In set location. Okay. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The balance communication is 5 by 5. Okay. Generation screen lines are 3 set locations out of the equation. Okay. Comes into the sun, comes into the moon at all track location. Okay. So now you understand, okay, what how means. It's your heart. How the heart reacts to everything in set location, to its response and all calculations. Action, reaction. So it's kind of like division, redivision, recalculation, calculation, modify, remodify, understand, re-understand. Okay. So that's all this is. But H is the timeline of your heart. That's opening up 4 platforms of communication, okay, in a 3-centric calculation, into a 6-waving pattern, into an open sequence and 2 patterns of communication, into a center operation of U of travel communication, okay, of travel mechanism high calculation, okay. So this is what you have to really understand, and how this all works, right? How everything works, how the how comes into its heart. This is a time reactor division to put you back in the mind of consciousness of where you're supposed to be in your energetic waves. You start with the 3, you start with the 6, you start with the 9, you start with the 12, and you go with the 13 set location, right? So 3, 6, and 9, right? You're in the 13 communication, which is the space in between. See? Space in between. So we're at 13 now. 13 waves, a geometric operation, a mind of consciousness. This is a great thing, guys. Your planet division location, your centers, in position location to your planets and set location line setting is in a 3-track location now. So you're in your own timeline of your center operation, your flywheels and calculation. Okay? Through a 13-track division of a 13-map sequence in all settings. Okay? Through a 24 ground to a 48 measure to a 72 track and 144 frequency pattern. Okay? Into a 13-month cycle of center operation. Okay? How does everybody feel about that? Now you understand what how means. How equals the heart. Exciting, isn't it? This is the timelines coming to unification of your system, coming to all levels of view of conscious location system. But the coordination in you is all levels of mapping sequence of clocking of space and time that's inside of you. Right? So again, when you're looking at everything outside, it's got to come to you from inside. And inside becomes outside, outside becomes inside. So that's the inner line to the outer line. Inner volume, outer volume. Inner space, outer space. Inner orbit, outer orbits. Interchange, outer change. Okay? So that's why you guys feel off center. Because everything is outer space of you. You've got to bring it to you through your inner space. Because when you look at things, everything is from inside out, not outside in. So your perception is seen from inside, you, outside, out. All right? So once you understand that, then you understand what's going on with the 13 waveline cycles of your 3 planet location centers attractions, right? So everybody's on their mind of conscious mind calculation sending attractions. 3 core generation screens and set positions. All levels of the operation set location. This is how it's set up. Okay. Low is set position travel, medium, high, and soul plane. Okay. So all track locations comes in setting. Higher volume, crosses lines, higher volume, crosses lines, higher volume, crosses lines. Higher volume, crosses lines. Okay? So really understand the center calculation setting, to the center position to its operation, to its magnetic highway of its mind, of its conscious location system, to its cloud location. Okay? So that's what's happening with the center communication in your systems, all through plateau in your 24 clocking system. So once you get into that, the soul plane, which is basically your space academy of Asgard, is that location. That's Asgard. Low, medium, high. Asgard. Okay? That's how everything's set up now. Okay? So this is where you guys connect to your seconds, minutes, and hours of panels. You have a 24 ground center. You have seconds line setting into minutes of hour. It's allocations, right? That's a low mediation graph screen. Okay. The center calculation setting has a 2-platform communication center to its operation. Center track lines and high center line interference has a 3-track locations of platforms. It's set position of its operation of 4 tracks. Set position line calculation, the soul plane has a 12 tracking system of clocking setting. 2 panels in calculations in position line centers, and this is where you climb the ladder in set location system to all track location. Okay. So you go from this platform and you climb the ladder. You go from this platform and you climb the ladder. You go from this platform and you climb the ladder. Okay. So this is where the activation stream comes in line connection, high center interference into all calculations, your consciousness, your subterranean set location, your sub line calculation stream location system into all levels of super consciousness. So Earth perception screen lines and low, medium, and high line interference is coming into its graphing screen location of its telepathy signatures, patterns, and communication to its setting into mind of its set location system to its operation. Okay? So now you understand the importance, right, of what's happening with 13 wave, right? So get in at 13. It's central location line settings, right? Remember we go into 13 equals lines of 24. What is the 24 center line communication? What is the 24? 24 equals lines of correlation setting of waves. Okay, that's the balance. So you got 144 frequency, you got a 24 ground lines, you got 13 communications of wave lines in set location high system. The set lines that cover the high interference is 24 line calculation settings into northwest, south, and east in this diamond core setting and track communication to a system and all levels of high calculation. Okay. So how's everybody doing so far? What's going on in provisions? Really understand what's happening to your settings now. To really understand how to balance these things out through your tracker system. Be aware of your body. Be aware of the interactions of your body. Be aware of your awareness of your body. Be aware of your connections to observations of your body. Be aware of what you see through all your senses of your body, because it's coming into full calculations of reaction now. Right? So it's about understanding you have the inner line calculated space, but now you got to control the outer line, which is the outer space location of you. Right? You got to bring that to you through telepathy. Okay? And that's done through the sun and the moon. If you get a track line communication center of box locations, right? There's a box, right? Sun and the moon will come to you through operation if you understand your inner and outer space. So it comes to you in set location. Okay? It comes to you through set location. Okay? It comes to you through set location. Okay? So that's how this works. Okay? So if you're trying and set location, let's go with the box again. Okay? The sun is here. The moon is there, right? You're there, and that's set location. So you're sitting at the signature lines, but there's a stop there. It's not reaching its position. So it's going in a different direction. Oh, low frequency pattern. You can't get there. So the sun and moon is not going to come to you. The operation line cycles and calculation in position of outer space will not come to you, right? Until you understand everything through the inner cycles of you. Once you understand the communication of yin and yang, the process of balance, the sun and the moon will come to you. through operation. Okay? All right, so now you understand why you guys are offsetting, right? So it's not the inner line calculations you got to get balanced with now. It's the outer lines. So that's the birthing communication when it comes into settings, how to use your inner child. The inner child has communication setting when it comes into baby, child, teenager, and supplication of adult. BCT, D, right? Balance communication. So 3 settings. Telewave and telecommunication, telegraphy and telecommunication, right? Into its dimension. Okay, 3 cent line calculating settings. Sun in the middle comes back to you in track location. Okay, balance communication comes into your pi recognition. Space in between and set location. Center line communication of travel and line calculation setting in position to your Merkaba, tesseract, and your tetrahedron at set location. Okay? Then you get into your platforms at 24, 48, 72, and then you can cross screens and set position to its operation and open up its dimensional doors of pi in calculation. Ooh-ah, go through the door. Okay? So I think we understand what's going on. Why you guys are off center line position location system. If you're here in track lines and there's a space in between, okay, this is your life cycle. Okay, so how long is it going to take you to get from here? And you can't. There's a space here, right? So there's an anomaly split, right? So you're gonna have to follow the anomaly split until you understand your provisions to get back on track to the center calculation. Okay, so you're creating another parallel, another space, another dimension of time, which you don't want to do, right? Through a planetary surface location of planets in that location. So now you understand the importance on so many line calculations of what you can do through your anomalies, right? If you get a line track location, right, and you got a bent in set line conditions, point system, see the space? So you can only go here. So you can't go up because there's a space. Your information line cycles, your emotional line center location is off track, right? You're going to go here. And you're going to go back in the cycle of communication starting all over again in set location, right? Until you understand your settings. Through your inner cycles and outer cycle communication, your telepathy waves. How to communicate to your inner self and outer self. Yes, you have an inner line space and you have an outer line space. So what is the outer space? Your 12 clocking system. What is the inner line space? Your 24 clocking system. Okay? Do you understand the process here? How you have to really bring in the 12 clocking system of your phones into 24 inside location? Say, I want to set position, I'll always take out the 12 lines, the 24 line calculates my high interference of phone receptor line connects and high centers, bring it back and track communication, setting a balance. Done. So my phone is back in balance communication to the inner line calculation setting of how of operation, which is the heart. Everything's done through heart of timeline. Everything's done through mind and navigation. Everything's done through soul identification, through lights, and everything's done through the body of consciousness of reaction. Of consciousness of G-O-D. Okay? But do you understand the importance of why you guys can't move forward? You create your anomalies and you split your line center calculation stream location to your systems. You know, if you're in a molecule going really fast, you got 2-point systems, right? But this is your location. So you got to create anomalies to get there, right? You got to create anomalies to get there. Right? You got to create anomalies to get there. You got to create anomalies to get to point system. All through molecule. Okay? So really understand how to communicate yourself inside, right? So what is the inner line clocking set location in your system? 24 of all calculations. Okay? Split the anomalies, 12 and 12. 12 light, 12 dark. Yin and yang process calculations. Sets position of 6 and 9 calculation. Woohoo! Okay? So that's what everybody's coming back into. Okay? These are the things you have to understand how to use system locations on a 1-track location, or a 2-track line setting, or a 4-box location center, or a 3-star line record of time sequence. Okay, through line signature. Line signature calculates a time system of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 provisions. 5 provisions of star line cycles into 1 line cycle. Setting track lines, crossing over. Have fun with it. Like, try to understand that the star record of time sequence can go into the box center now and travel communication. Okay, this is kid stuff. Try to get into its relationship through line setting location to its operation, inset location of pi, and generational line conditions to its intelligence. There's the intelligence, see? Eye-centric communication, hello. There's the intelligence, based on that condition. Point system line direct setting. Track location, high center interference in position location to all set location in pyramid. Inside connections, right? Travel direction of time sequence in center line, all communication inside position. Travel calculation out of lines at 2 track locations. Center communication at 3 lines. Center communication at 4 lines. Center communication at 5 lines. Right? All through star recognition. See? Brings in the sun, brings in the moon, and basically you bring in the outer space into the inner space of you, a track location. Okay? So it's very powerful. What's your standard provisions to all set location? All right. So now you understand the lights and the set location, the high center interference in your darks will come into balance. The positive, the negative equals lines of positive, the positive location of negative, negative location of positive, equal locations of negative, negative lines of positive, right? It's all positive. There's no negative anything. The only negative line center line interference in set location system is your emotional system. That's off calculation. Very important to understand these things in calculation setting. Let's start off location system. I said this before. This is the rope. This is your life, right? But this is the rope. Okay? So instead of concentrate on this, focus on that. Okay? Stop focusing on what you in this positions of. See? This is your lifespan, right? But what about the other side of the rope? The other side. You have to go out. You got to go to your outer box. You got to go to your outer rims. You got to go into the outer experience of you. You got to go way beyond. Go beyond where you have never gone before. Okay, through the rope. What's on the other side? Brings you in set location to outer space into inner space of set location. That's the balance. That's the yin and yang. Okay, that's the yin and yang. Okay, see? 6 and 9. 6 and 9. That's the balance that you guys have to come into. Okay? Powerful stuff. All right. So where's the clocking come from? Inside. Where's the mapping sequence come from? Inside. Where's the operation line connection come from? Inside. Where does the how come inside? Your heart. That's what H stands for. It's the heart. Travel calculation settings and 3 travel application. Platform communications opens up all levels of high position. Okay. Platforms and communication center operation. Set position. Right? Travel records and time sequence. Stargate, star panels, star maps. Everything is inside of you. Okay? And again, security. Okay? But this always stays in the center. The most powerful thing is to balance out the 6 and 9. When you balance that out, then you can travel through. You can travel through. Okay? So you got control from inner space and outer space. So outer space becomes inner space becomes outer space. Okay? Inset location of operation. Okay? All right. So how's everybody doing so far? I've been understanding now what's going on, how to really connect to your system locations, how to understand yourself through body of consciousness to all levels of high calculations, how do you transmit and receive information cycles, how to use your transistors, your transponders, location, your settings, and all-track location? Because that's all this is. You're transmitting and receiving information. But your body has to be consciousness. See, your body's always going to be a reaction. But see, this is what you have to really understand, how this works for you, not against you. Nothing works against you. The only thing that's against you is you don't understand the body of its setting location, of its mind adaptation, of its thoughts. See, the thoughts come in always in forms, through its abundance, through manifestation, through pi. If I set up a high position of track lines and high center interference, high position location, high system of pi correlation, high interference into all calculations, let's go through point systems, point system, point system, point system, point system, and point system, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of pi. All right. Now, I can manifest anything in that locations, but I'm always going to have what in the center? What am I always going to have in the center? What am I always going to have in the center? A balance, a heart. Ooh. So I understand how to use it through the heart generation line screens as a location of 7 through pi in point systems, through 24, 48, 72, and 144 of a platform communication center into your flywheel of recognition. Balance. Okay. So understand your point systems is location. Now the location is just a setting line connection, so what you get through your 24 cycle. So when you understand what energy, vibration, frequencies, and harmonics is, then you understand the point system's location, right? Routers and routers, calculation lines of 2 tracks, 3 tracks, or 4 tracks, or 5 tracks, or 6 tracks. Comes a center calculation setting. So space and time comes back to you through clocking system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 clocking systems coming back to you, right? So this is very powerful, but you have to understand the H-line centers in its application, which is your heart, which is your timeline, which is your patterns, which is your flywheel of balance. Okay, it's got to be balanced, not this. That's not balance. That's not balance. Okay, so this is what you have to really understand. Okay, you have that flywheel, and that positions your affinity cycles of 8 center line communications, right? So 8 line center, 8 line center, 8 line center, 8 line center. What does it create? A planet. So in set locations, when you go faster and faster, what is the connection install settings inside locations? So what are the cells and the atoms and the molecules and the God particles in set locations to your fractals and all calculation? What is it creating? What is it creating? What is it creating? What is it creating? Its own planetary system of solar systems. A travel. Okay. That's it. So getting into that position location, it gets more complicated now because you understand the inner line communication is the outer lines of set location. Always remember that you bounce yourself inside, bounces everything outside. It's not bouncing things outside, it's bouncing things inside first. You are the inner self, which becomes the outer self, and the outer self comes to you. So in set locations, your higher self is here. This is you. Okay, that's your higher self. So when you're ready, higher self will come to you. And the higher self comes out of you in set location of travel. Okay, sets position to its avatar into higher calculation of tether to all settings, all right? Into your location of you, non-line centers, high position travel lines, into your sim through mind of navigation. See, that's how it works. Okay. All right, that's it. We're done. So any questions or comments, let me know. I will be on set locations on setting or your Q&As. Adios.